Alright, to-do list, what do we got planned for today? Alright, plan for mega builds. I can do that. Yeah, that's not a problem. Interiors for the village. Okay, something new. I like that. And finally deal with the... Yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, not doing it today. Nope, not today.
Alright, we may have a little problem. Lately, I've been streaming a lot of Minecraft, and I designed a couple mega builds. The problem? I ain't got the blocks to build them here in hardcore. And it's not just a couple blocks, I'm talking hundreds of thousands for each build. So today, we need to get more ways of getting all these blocks, because I'm not spending the next week emptying out deserts or caves. So to keep track of all the blocks we need, we're up back in our tower. We've got some stuff on this floor, but the main thing we have is this sign kind of tracking board for all the farms we do have in this world. It's not complete, I still need to update it, I keep forgetting, but I've written down all the blocks so far that I've planned that we need for these mega builds. So the plan for today is to get a good steady source of at least most of these blocks, have farms set up for them or ways I can farm them easily, because for things like terracotta, I don't think there's a way. I don't think villagers trade them. I think they trade the stained ones, maybe? Maybe we can get that, or we can just set up a good beacon up in a terracotta biome, and that's how we get it. And then we just need to make sure our farms for the colors are still working properly. I'll just get a good close-up if you want to pause and take a look at all these. Some of these we already have farms for, so let's just make sure everything's on this board first, and then we can start crossing things off. Alright, so I removed the old one because we don't really need that. I know what we have in the world. If we need to find it, I think we'll make a better version of this. I think this is just going to be our, provisional board for what we need for the current projects. So we've gone and added most of the blocks. Over here, we have all the different colors for, the stained glass, terracotta, and concrete. I don't actually have a single shroomlight in this world. I have to go and get them. I've never actually farmed them, I don't think. At least not in my storage system as of yet, so we can go grab that, but that's just there for currently. So let's turn on the ones that actually have farms already prepared for them. Alright, and that's actually quite a few of them we already have farms for. I guess the sulfur is kind of like half a farm, because I don't think the sulfur spikes are actually going to do much. They're not going to get that many. It's just help a little bit alleviate so we don't have to spend as much time in the caves. Sadly, Cinnabar's one we do have to collect on our own, so we might move things over to the non-farmable. For things like that, that's not farmable currently. They don't have any way of getting it infinitely. Now we have our Froglight farm in the Nether. It works pretty well, so that's something we already have. Our moss farm in our block factory, our iron farm just outside in the cherry tree. That's one good, but sadly, even though we have double chests full of iron blocks, it's not enough for the project I'm planning, so we're gonna have to do a lot of AFKing in this world. Next is the Prismarine. We do have a Prismarine farm. I haven't run it in a long time, so it's completely empty in storage, but the farm is done, just needs the AFKing. Now, redstone's a bit different, because we can do it in the raid farm, but it's not the most efficient way of getting it, so we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Now, in one of the builds, I use hundreds of observers, so I need a lot of them. Thankfully, it's just basically the quartz, which we can get from our piglin bartering farm, so that's quite easy to get. Now, wool, I think that's literally just the floor above us. Let's take a look. We have a small one here. We can probably upgrade that so it has one of each of the colors, and maybe we can have a farm. Maybe that can be one of our new industrial farms we put in our industrial district. And finally, diorite and andesite. Those can just be cobblestone and then the quartz. So quartz is going to be getting a lot of use in this kind of building phase we're in, but we can just do cobblestone AFK farm. We have one in our block factory, and then just use the quartz from the bartering farm to craft both of those up. Takes a while, but it's so much better than having to hunt down a pocket of it in a cave and then spending forever mining it out. Now it's time to look at all of the ones we don't have current farms for. But for some of these, we don't need that many. I don't think we need a lot of the warped block. What's this called again? The warped warp block. I don't think we need a lot of it, so that might be something we just go out and gather on our own. Same with the end rods, even the shroomlights possibly, but we can actually grow those in our tree farm. So if it does come down to it and we need a lot, both of these I think are fine. I think the shroomlights grow naturally. We'll have to do some testing there. Magma. Magma, we do have technically a farm because the byproducts of the Froglight farm are the magma cubes, and you can craft magma blocks with the magma cream that kind of is the byproduct, so we can get a little bit of this. I don't know if there's a better way to farm it, or if we're just going to have to dig underneath lava pools and dig out big chunks of that. Now, on to glowstone. This one, we do technically get it from our raid farm, but it's even less than the redstone block. So I'm thinking maybe a witch farm is needed for that, and then we also get a bit of redstone from that too. Now, like I said earlier, cinnabar, not possible to farm yet, so that's just one we're gonna have to gather ourselves, and same for copper it seems. I think basically just going to one of the trial chambers, emptying it out, and then we're gonna need like an aging facility to get it all into the weathered state, because that's the color I'm looking for. Now, over here, we have these three that have the coloring. I think the coloring's fine because up in the top of this tower and a couple other places within this world, we have color farms for all the dye, so that shouldn't be an issue. The issue is getting these blocks here. Now, we have glass, terracotta, and concrete. So concrete is gravel and sand. Gravel's not a problem because we have the piglin bartering farm. Nice and easy, we got infinite of that. The problem is the sand. The sand is going to be an issue because I'm not going to dupe the sand in this world. I don't want to do that quite yet. Maybe in the future. I said maybe I would do it in the past, but I think still we're going to avoid doing duping like that. The only duping we have is our TNT for a tree farm, and that's the only one because that feels a little less cheaty just because wood is such a hard thing to get, and there's not really a good way of automating it, and I think just getting sand manually is going to be how we get the concrete. Now, terracotta, I do have to do a little bit of research into the villagers, because if that is true, we can get both of these from villager trades. So we might have to set up a good kind of villager trading hall, but I don't want to do it like how we have down here for the books, because these guys haven't seen any action ever since basically the first time I put them in here and got all the books. So I want to build a more interactive place for those guys, and then maybe we can get the two of these. Alright, after a little bit of research, these are the villagers we're going to need the most of. So we need the masons for the terracotta, so they can give you the base terracotta, I think, as well as every single color. So what I'll probably do is get the ones I need most for the builds I'm planning, and then eventually I'll get one of each of them and have them somewhere also easily accessible for that. Now for the librarians and the cartographers, we get the glass and glass panes. So I need both glass and glass panes of the orange, red, and yellow, I think. Those are the ones I need the panes for. So getting a cartographer will just mean we have less refreshes waiting for the librarians. The ones below probably have some glass already, but we want ones that are dedicated to the good glass trade. Now, for the wandering trader, they do sell a little bit of sand, but it's a small amount for each kind of refresh, and they only give it once, so you get like a stack per wandering trader, and wandering traders are like once week in real life, it feels like playing in the game. So that's definitely not a sustainable way of doing it. So we're probably just going to do the TNT gathering in a desert. I said I didn't want to spend a week in the desert gathering sand, but it seems like that's the only way unless I fall for the kind of duping technology. But I think we're just going to follow for that, and that'll be one of our few things we manually gather. Then the final thing is going to be a witch farm, because I need a lot of glowstone. It's like tens of thousands of glowstone blocks. So manually gathering it in the nether is going to take way too long, having to fly up, kind of perching on one of those little ledges and then gathering it all too much. So a witch farm, plus we get that redstone. I don't have to AFK at my, the raid farm, because it's a good farm, but you need to do one farm for the ominous bottles and then bring those, and then you have to craft all the stuff. It's just a lot of work. This, I think, is going to be an AFK farm. And then over here, I wrote all the manual ones down. So we have the cinnabar, androds, and copper. Technically the sulfur as well. We're getting a little bit. I even have like a small one. I even have a small one over here that's gathering a very small amount. And then the other farm that we built in the last episode is gathering a decent amount. I've expanded it, and I'll expand it again just so we get more and more over time. And we don't have to spend as long in the kind of sulfur caves, because the one we did find that episode, it's a small one. So we're going to have to find bigger ones to get proper amounts of that. Alright, now that we're done with all the planning, it's time to get to the actual part of guiding them, and I think what we're going to do the villagers today. So, we need a lot of these guys, but I think I know the perfect place where we can actually house all these villagers and not have it looking like a kind of trap where they never move or experience any bits of life like my library currently is. And that place is going to be my village. We finally have a use for it. I think it's going to be a great place to kind of sneak in some without them being kind of locked up in place. We can have them wandering around. Maybe we can confine them to their buildings though, and just have a couple ones wandering around that we don't need quite as much, because if we do need a lot of this stuff, I don't want to have to be kind of sneaking through all these kind of tunnels like, you in here? Nope. Okay, let's go check over here. Hello? And if I can't find them easily, it's going to be a pain. So we're maybe going to trap them in the buildings. I don't know if maybe using carpets and stuff, depending on their block height. I'll have to do a bit of testing to see how I can keep them in certain areas. But that means we're getting some interiors. So here's what we're playing for today's episode. We got to get those interiors done. We got to get somewhere for them to live and make it comfortable and make it actually pleasing to look at instead of these kind of empty shells we currently have. Next, we actually have to get the villagers over here. Not too much of a problem. I think we'll just get 2 and then set up a villager breeder down here. Shouldn't be too long. I got plenty of carrots and stuff to like kind of supercharge it so we can get them coming out really quickly and just have this area all nice and populated. And then we have to get the trades up. So we have to find out what trades we need, and we're going to have to get a zombie thing so that we can get the best trades possible. So first up, we need to get these interiors done. So let's do a little bit of planning. Let's kind of sit back and relax. I think I'm going to do this on a live stream tonight. So if you ever want to see me doing things live and planning all that stuff, go over on my Twitch. I do a lot of Minecraft live streaming over there, and we'll see how much we can get done. And then we can bring over the villagers and get them all traded up. We'll have a zombie infection and curing station, and then we can see how it all turns out. So let's do a little bit of interiors. Alright, this is kind of the part where I usually put a time lapse of the build, but since it's such close quarters, I built these interiors so tiny just so the exteriors, that's kind of the problem with building exteriors first. You don't know how small the interiors are going to end up, but the footage just kind of looked like a security camera in the corner of the room, so I think we're just going to show off what we built. So the first thing we did is we moved the door out of this little alleyway and more onto the main street here. You can kind of see I got my alleyway here, but I felt like it deserved more of this, and I also built the interiors and then realized I needed a better door placement. So let's head on inside our first room, which is our terracotta selling area. As you can see, we've already got a couple of our guys in here. You can see we go down to trade and we have the white terracotta already with him, and I've marked all of the different colors. I've slowly been grabbing them. We'll show off our little technique we've been using to breed these guys up and get them. But we come in here, we have a lot of room, nice little bit of space. They're all kind of like free, but you can see they're not moving. That's because underneath, kind of hard to show because we have honey under here to stop them from jumping over on the counter, because eventually I want villagers wandering around and going wherever they want. I don't want it to be kind of all like this. I want some kind of free from all the restrictions. So these guys, I have them sitting on top of a bit of honey, and then here is a bit of magma actually, and they won't pathfinder over it. They can't jump over this. They're trapped in here, but they don't look trapped. They look like they're just manning the counter. So we're gonna have one for each of the colors, so if I ever need any of these colors, I can come down here and grab them. We've added a nice big window here, letting some natural light along with our little light fixtures, as well as a nice staircase up to the second floor. Now, if we head on across the way, we have the continuation because there are just so many different colors, 16 in total, that we need to kind of spread it out. So we got our next set over here. We got our sign guy already set up. Another window, some fake storage, but it could be used as real storage. If I ever have excess emeralds, I can come in here, trade as much as possible. So I have a bit of storage left over. Here is going to go a painting. I just actually have to get the painting and get the right one that I kind of planned out that I thought looked cool in this area. We head over here. We have a ladder upstairs because I didn't want to do another staircase. It takes up a lot of space. And onto the last 4 colors in here, more storage, and it's all the same thing. Honey under here so that none of the wandering villagers jump onto the counter and shove these guys around. And we have the honey magma rotation so that they don't move around and they stay underneath their proper places. But now that you've seen the interiors of the first floor for now, we'll do the second floor eventually. That'll be kind of living spaces, but it's not really realistic just because these guys are never leaving their posts. I didn't want to have to wander around like clicking on every single villager to find the right trade. I'll have them wandering around, but these guys gotta stay put for efficiency. And we have our second floor. I mean, right now it's just a staircase to an empty hole, but there's plenty of space. It actually connects up with the building we were just in. Here's that ladder. So we can partition this off. I can even have an attic if I wanted to, and we can do bedrooms and stuff, but that's for another problem, for another time. Now I want to show you all the kind of villager breeding stuff we've set up downstairs. So here we are under the city little village we've built, and I put up a kind of makeshift villager breeder. I did it all from memory, and it seems to have been working. Basically, these two trade back the food, they make a baby, it runs underneath because it's blocked by that for the adults. The baby falls down into a water stream, which leads over here. Let's turn on the full bright so we can actually see down here. And then I set up a minecart to get pushed over here behind this block. Let's see, is there a baby? Yeah, we got a baby. So if I put a minecart here, it would push him out over to here. And then once this guy grows up, I send him over to be killed by a zombie. And then I bring them over here, I cure them, and then I'm going to send them upstairs to be I give them the stone cutter whenever I get one of those. lock in the trade, make sure I get one of the terracottas, and then move them into place. And then we do it all again. I did try and mess up a bunch where I had the babies try to infect them and then wait for them to grow up, but the babies not only do they not grow up when they're zombies, they also can't be cured. So you can't get a baby villager from a baby zombie, it seems. I tried, didn't seem to work. So we're just going to keep doing this. I grabbed a couple from my other village and just brought them over by Happy Ghast. And then all I do is I hook this up. We can grab one of these, hook it up, and then we have a little minecart track up here. And it actually just goes right below into the building. We've got to rebuild this because I've built most of the thing since. But we can just head up here. Let's see. Yeah, there we are. Get some of this dirt. Build a nice little staircase. Gotta move this out of the way. And then we can just place this. I guess we'll have to use a couple of the regular rails. And then we gotta power this guy. And then if we send this guy up like so, turn that off, and we can continue with the rest. We chase him all the way up. And then he's up here. We get a stone cutter for him, so we'll grab this one here, put it beside him. Come on. He should be able to accept it. He's pretty close. We just have to break it a couple times. Hopefully he's not a broken villager, because I've had a couple of those. He's done it before, not sure why he's so shy now. Oh, there we go. So then we go and grab some emeralds. Here we go. We level him up. And we got blue terracotta. So let's go check into the other room. So if we come over here, blue is over there, and we don't have the blue one yet, so that means we can bring them over. So let's go grab them. It's a pain to actually locate them into here, but we actually have big doors now, so we can grab him into a boat, and we can drag him along. So let's do that real quick. And that's how I do that. He was actually one of the easier ones. A couple of them, well, didn't quite make it. You brought this on yourselves. Just had to give me the right trade. Just the right trade, yes. But that is 5 out of the 16 different colors. I'm going to slowly keep working on them. I've got 3 more downstairs, or I think there's 2 more ready to be brought up and given their trade. Let's go take a look. Yeah, so 2 more, and then we have this guy, so we can actually show off how we do it. Shove him over. Make sure, I do it really kind of jank way, is you have to break this one. And then you have to kind of get him on a little further. And then I flip it around. I've run out of tracks, so I have to steal for myself again. We don't want that. And then we get a line of sight, and then he'll kill him. We flip him over, then we get the better trades. But now that the main part of this one's done, I just have to get up more villagers, not ones like this. This guy only does the terracotta, so he's really unlucky, so he'll have to go somewhere. But after that, we still have to do the glass, because I wanted to get 2 done today. So we're going to be tackling onto this building. Let's see if we can dig a hole in. Lots of work to do, so let's quickly build this one up, and that's going to be it for today. Alright, and just next door to our terracotta place, we have our glass building. So if we head on in, I've gone for a different color palette using the pale oak instead this time, just to make things a little bit unique for each one. So each of these guys is going to be a glass one. So they each sell glass, just glass, the regular glass. They don't do stained glass on any of the different trades. So we're just going to have to get a bunch of glass and then rely on our dye farms. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 librarians. They have the trade for glass at some point. And if we come into the back room, we have a nice little bit here. And the cartographers, they sell panes. So if these guys have all traded out, we can get a couple panes if that's what we need. And my new thing is going to be adding paintings everywhere, because I love these new paintings that they've added. Like, I crafted up a bunch. There's so many cool ones. This is a new one. That's an old one. I recognize that one. But we got a bunch of cool different ones. Make sure they're not the same. All these 3x3s are pretty cool. I want to get back to that one. There's this cool one, but I don't think it fits. There's so many different ones. There we go. So all that we have to do left for this episode is just gather all the villagers. And this villager breeder I built earlier, it's so slow, like incredibly slow. So I've been stealing some from my other farm, or my other breeder up over by my cherry village, bringing them down, and that's kind of just boring stuff. So I'm not going to bore you guys with that. We're just going to do that slowly. Maybe we'll do a quick walkthrough if I manage to get it all done before the end of today's video when this needs to go out. But I'm really enjoying how this is turning up. turning out, I guess you could say. I'm glad we put these windows in. Really makes it feel a lot more immersive instead of just these blank walls of shells. We still have to do all the villagers and then the second floors. That's just for fun. Maybe I'll do that just as a little bit every so often. But if we take a little bird's eye view, this house here is going to be the terracotta. And then over here is the glass, which means we have 1, 2, 3, 4 more buildings that can be filled with the different villager trades. And then eventually, once I get all the ones with the proper trades in, I'm just going to open up a staircase and let the babies just come straight up to here, and then they'll start populating. I'll put like beds on the second floor. Maybe some of these can just be houses, and during the nighttime they all kind of rush to one of these, and during the day they can wander around, mingle, talk to each other. That's kind of why I did all the honey in front there. It's just so they don't jump over the counter because they love getting really close to each other. But we've got lots done. Let's go see if I can finish all of these trades. It's just going to be me sitting for the next like 4 or 5 hours, getting them, breeding them up, hoping we don't get any like this guy. Yeah, I see you. And then we'll see if we can get all the trades properly done. And then they can be one more thing off the checklist of what we need for our new mega builds. But that's where we're going to leave today's episode. We might do a quick little flash to doing the rest of the villagers if I fill it up properly. If not, it'll just be a mostly filled shot. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like and subscribe for more episodes coming soon. Until next time.